This is TWiT.
Let's start with CES, and we'll do Facebook a little later. I have to say, I'm with Nicholas. Going every year seems a lot to me. I haven't been since COVID. And it seems like there's always going to be new TVs. There's going to be a lot of concept stuff. But is there something, this year, of course, it was AI everywhere, right? What'd you see that was good, that was important?
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. So, I mean, look, every year we can tease a couple of interesting things out of CES, but I was speaking to Benito before we started the show, and we could have replayed the package I created for last year, and it would be exactly the same as the package I create for this year, because it's EVs, it's AI, some new screens, and then the rest of it. And the rest of it wasn't really great. In fact, some of the biggest motion that I saw at CES came before the actual show started. It was during the press days. Sony announced some new partnerships. They announced that their new vehicle, their collaboration with Honda, which is, by the way,
$90,000 car,
is crap.
Really?
It's Sony is doing a grand experiment to see who will pay $90,000 for a $40,000 EV with a PlayStation. That's probably the best way I can describe it. I noticed that
Nicholas has a stuffed PS3 controller on his sofa.
Well, PS5, but yes.
All right. So maybe you're the one.
90,000 feels a little expensive. I remember I'm pretty sure I saw the Sony concept car at CES last year as well. Maybe it was a different model or whatever, but I don't altogether hate the idea of a Sony EV. That's kind of interesting, but not for $90,000.
Well, remember, $90,000 starting. If you wanted in any usable trim, you're looking at $110,000, $120,000.
Oh, yeah.
And for that $90,000, you get terrible range. You get a terrible power system. It does not charge as quickly as like a Tesla or even a Nissan Leaf. You get styling that I think they want it to be futuristic. It's got a dash wide screen where you can put up the different apps that you want to run. But other than that, it's not a great car. I mean, it's an okay car. It's a decent EV, but again, it's like a $40,000 EV, but they think you're going to pay more because it's Sony Honda. Not so much.
Yeah, maybe in like 1990 when Sony was still like,
it's not the brand it used to be.
Oh, no. By the way, Leo, you're going to love this because their big announcement was all of these features like driver assist and self-parking. It's absolutely free for 3 years.
Yeah, first 3 years. Yeah, that's the new. I think it's inevitable. We're going to see subscription cars. I mean, everybody wants to do it.
The only reason there's such a thing as a subscription car is that the Digital Millennium Copyright Act makes it illegal to reverse engineer it and just make a mod that lets you turn that subscription into something you own. Under like if we had like functional markets for this stuff, the way these guys who claim to be capitalists say that they want, then the fact that you could buy a $1,200 a year subscription to your accelerator pedal would prompt someone to make a $200 mod that just gives you your accelerator pedal.
Right. Reverse engineer it, but you can't because that would be wrong.
And actually, on the EV panel that they had on Monday, one of the speakers, she did this thing about, because it was a question and answer, and someone in the audience said, what do you think about the trend towards subscription everything? It seems as if EV manufacturers are adopting what the software industry has done. Everything is now as a service. And there were so many ways she could have answered the question. The way she answered it was, I think consumers are getting used to it and they actually like it. I'm like, whoa, that's like the wrong answer. Wow.
Yeah, they actually like it. We like spending money. Why not? More money for simple basic services like car seat heaters that BMW tried but failed.
Actually, your boss is right. That's the official mode of discourse.
That's right.
Actually, your boss is right. You do like this.
And actually, the other EV trend is if you went to the West Hall, which is where most of the EVs were located, it was China and Korea.
This is the next question I was going to ask, because it used to be the fun thing at CES was to go to the hall where all the international, especially Chinese, crazy stuff was. But now, given that we're going to probably see 60% tariffs with China in the next couple of months, and that China may not be the easiest country to buy something from in the next couple of months. You still saw a lot of Chinese presence there, huh?
Oh, yeah, because remember, it's an international show.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's only the U.S. that won't be able to get it.
Exactly. And when you looked at the Chinese offerings, yes, okay, we could make lots of fun about how Chinese vehicles have developed over the years, and there's some safety concerns that have to be addressed. But the vehicles that they brought looked good.
Yeah.
They looked really, really good. And they had models like an EV minivan with chairs that swivel around that started at $30,000. So it's sort of like, okay, well, you can get a luxury EV from Honda or from Sony or from Tesla, or you could buy an EV for everybody.
Why are Chinese cars less expensive? Are they subsidized by the government, or are they legitimately less expensive? I know the market wants them to be less expensive, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't.
I mean, it's at least three of the companies were either state or heavily backed by the state. So there's a lot of subsidy there. They're in deployment method. They're all in startup method. So they're trying to get a customer base starting in China. So they're trying to force out Tesla. They want Tesla to no longer be the status symbol for EV luxury, and they might actually have it. But also,
ironically, with Elon Musk in the government, it looks like Tesla might lose its government subsidies along with all the other EV manufacturers, which is pretty hysterical, really weird. But he also, I think, is lobbying hard, and Trump has said this, to ban Chinese vehicles in the United States.
Yeah.
Completely.
I'd heard that Chinese vehicles are also shorter range, and that as a result, they enjoy lots and lots of advantages because a shorter range car is a smaller battery. It doesn't weigh as much. Lots of other things in the material bill become cheaper. And given that, the very large majority of the trips that most people take are quite short range, we have a car with a 200-mile EV range, which turns out not to be as useful as we thought it would be. Like, it's not enough to get us to San Diego, and it's way more than we need to get to like Anaheim. Right. So we end up renting a car when we go, if we go skiing or something, we'll rent a car. We don't try and get anywhere in our 200-mile EV. And we paid a substantial premium versus, say, a 150-mile EV to get that 200 miles. And, honestly, if I had it to do over again, I would get a 50-mile EV. It's the number one complaint I hear from Americans about EVs is the range. And we have a 90-mile-an-hour Mini Cooper, 90 miles range Mini Cooper that's fine for getting around town. Where are they going? I mean, sure, some people have very long commutes, and that is a legitimate thing. But it's common in the US. Statistically, they don't have long commutes. Statistically, their commute is not longer than the range of a bottom of the barrel EV, and the savings are gigantic to drive one of those. Well, then Cory, I neglected to ask you before we go on. You're okay, right? You're in the LA area, I know. Yeah, we're not in the bit that's on fire. The Hollywood Hills fire was close, but it's out. There's more winds coming, and a lot of the stuff that's on fire that's upwind of us is super toxic. Not just the houses, but there's like a lot of industrial sites that have burned, and so we're masking up out of doors. We're running our HEPA filters. But we did that in the fires up here in the Sonoma County. I know how you feel. It's awful. My kid's school was shut last week, and my wife's office, and I swim in the pool across the street for pain control, and that was shut all week. But they all say that they're reopening tomorrow, but the winds are going to kick up again tomorrow and last till Wednesday, so it could get bad again. Our deepest condolences. I should have started the show with this, and I completely thankfully, we don't need any condolences, but there are lots of people who do. Well, Kevin Rose is one. Kevin is fine, and Daria is fine. Their kids and Toasted the dog is fine, but they were burned out of their home in Pacific Palisades, which they had just built. My wife took a load of non-perishables and PPE and medical supplies and water to the Rose Bowl yesterday. And I guess if anyone is within sound of this voice and you've got things to donate, that they've got all the clothes they need, but everything else they're short on, and they're collecting it at the Rose Bowl. Yeah, the two big Jesuit schools, Loyola and Loyola Marymount, have opened up their doors, and they're taking in people who just need a place to stay. They're making sure they're clothed and fed. So it's bad. I think we lost one of our communities, and then my family, we lost two of our family members lost their houses. So it's big. I mean, the area that's already been burned is bigger than the entire city of San Francisco. Yeah. So it's not small. Yeah. Just horrific. So
all we can say once again, hang in there. And we have a phrase here, Sonoma strong, after several years of fires. We're going to have another very, very dry January and February, which puts us also at risk. And it's really a scary thing because you're not safe. Hey, thank you for watching this little snippet from our big show, the News Roundtable, This Week in Tech. I'm Leo Laporte. Each week we cover the week's tech news, in-depth analysis, but it's also fun and engaging. You'll find it at twit.tv along with all of our shows. And if you want more, just hit the subscribe button, and we'll be sure to bring you a lot more great content. Thanks for listening.